but write down what matters to you most. And then think about what kind of work would most fulfill you, most make you excited. And then think about who would I like to serve and how would I like to help them? And then you kind of combine them and come up with a picture of what kind of work you want to do, who you want to do it with, and in what environment.
Hi, and welcome to our Happy Rainmaker series where point one can make a difference. I'm joined today by Gary Miles. I'm the free lawyer. Gary has been very generous to come and tell us all about how lawyers who are feeling stressed out and overwhelmed and just simply unhappy might find some relief. Thank you so much for joining us, Gary.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jen. I really, really appreciate it.
So you yourself, I remember reading a bunch of your posts on LinkedIn. You're a very prolific writer. And I know actually you wrote a book about this too that everybody should look for. But you were a very successful lawyer. I remember reading an article you wrote about how you tried a case. It was very exciting and you got the perfect verdict and you still didn't feel satisfied. You still felt a little empty.
And that's true. I think so often, I know I did, look for happiness in the wrong places. And I got that great verdict, but I didn't take time to appreciate it. I often expect those things, but I don't really appreciate them. And I think we have to find happiness in other ways by aligning our practice with our values, by doing the kind of work we really enjoy doing, the kind of work that just makes us happy to do it, rather than, oh, I got to go in the office and do some more work. Representing the clients that we enjoy serving, picking our clients well. So often we'll take any client who's going to pay the bill, and then we realize we're just always frustrated because the client might be so demanding, so unreasonable, never happy, wants to if it's a scale of 1 to 10, he wants a result of 12, and we know we can never make him happy. And so I think sometimes we need to make choices about who we want to work with, where we want to work, what kind of work we want to do. Do we have the independence and autonomy that we wish to have? Because we may be in, a smaller firm, medium-sized firm, or big law, but we're all independent people with our own brand, our own passions, our own interests. And while there's a need to support the mission of our firm, it's really important for us to be happy, to align what we do with our own personal values.
So we often tell people that developing your own client base is a way to have a little bit more freedom and autonomy, whether you're running your own practice or you're part of a firm. What advice can you give people who think, I got into this area of law because I started during the Great Recession and that was what they were hiring for, or because I took some classes and I genuinely thought this was my passion. But as my interest changed over time, I found that I was less interested in what I was doing. I mean, is there a way for them to, whether they're on their own and they need to pay the rent, or whether they're with another firm and they're responsible for billing a certain amount of hours, how do they pivot to a topic that they like better?
Well, I think the first and most important thing is to take time to reflect. If you're in some way not satisfied, not happy, not fulfilled, take some time. One Saturday morning, take an hour. Write down the values that are important to you. What really matters? It might be money and title and prestige. It might be flexibility, independence, and autonomy. There's no right or wrong, but write down what matters to you most. And then think about what kind of work would most fulfill you, most make you excited. And then think about who would I like to serve and how would I like to help them? And then you kind of combine them and come up with a picture of what kind of work you want to do, who you want to do it with, and in what environment. And the one thing I've learned in 46 years as a lawyer is we're never stuck. We always have choices, and we have the freedom to do something different, or in a different place, or in the same firm doing something different if we want to. When I was 30-odd years into my practice doing mostly transportation law, representing truck drivers and trucking companies, I wasn't quite fulfilled by it. I was good at it. I kind of liked it. There were things about it I liked, but it didn't fill my hole. And I chose at the age of 50 something to start doing family law, to start doing divorce work. Never done that before. And I had the ability, working for myself, to make that change. I had to do it gradually because I didn't have any divorce clients when I made that decision. So I had to build it up over time. But in a space of a couple years, it grew to be enough to support me full time, support my son 50% of the time, and a full time associate. So it became practice for 2.5 people. And I really enjoyed doing it. Nothing made me feel better than when a client sent me a wonderful thank you note after I'd helped her get through a very nasty divorce, get custody of her 4 daughters. And I felt so fulfilled about that. And it wasn't easy. I was putting out fires, but because I enjoyed doing it, it was really, really worth it to me.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it.